Yes. Yes. Yes.
Watch this.
Good evening, Interworld. Sergeant Slack here from Banana Bomb Productions. We're back in World of Warcraft, and this is the patch notes for patch 5.4, the Seige of Orgrimmar. And honestly, guys, I do not know where to start. There is so much. It's like it's freaking epic. I've got them open on my laptop to the side here, and there's so much. It's like a whole new bleeding expansion, to be entirely honest, the amount of patch notes there are. So we're going to cover the important stuff. We're not going to go into too much detail. I'll leave that to you if you want to get there. I have got a sore throat at the moment still, a little bit of a coldy thing, but we'll soldier on and we'll see how it goes. New raid is the first and foremost. The Seige of Orgrimmar. The tensions stoked by Garrosh Hellscream's arrogance have reached a boiling point, with the devastation unleashed upon the Vale of the Eternal Blossoms. Now it's time for leaders of the Alliance and Horde to lay siege to Hellscream's capital and topple the ruthless war chief once and for all. Yeah, it's good. I got gravelly voice. Nice. Seige of Orgrimmar contains 14 new encounters across 4 expansive wings as members of the Horde and Alliance take war directly to Garrosh's doorstep. For more details on that, go and look it up on the site. I'm not going to go into it, but there's lots of exciting looking bosses and stuff looks good. Stuff does look good. It comes in normal, heroic, raid finder, and the new one, which we'll talk about in a moment. And yeah, the difficulty varies based on what you do. So one of the new features in patch 5.4 is flexible raid difficulty. This is available under looking for raid tab. No, I don't know shortcuts anymore. I really don't. Yeah, there we go. Flexible raid. From the patch notes, this is a new raid difficulty designed for pre-made groups of 10 to 25 players or any number in between. This means it's possible to have raids of 15 or 22. Difficulty will adjust automatically based on the number of players present, with encounters intended to provide a challenge roughly between raid finder and normal difficulty. So, this is a good thing. This is something nice that Blizzard are doing to help people into raiding. If you don't want to go the whole hog, if you don't have a raiding guild, if you just get a few of you together one week and not the next, this is really nice. Separate lockout from all of the raids, flexible loot system, as you can see on the screen, up to 540 loot, and flexible sizing. I believe as well Battle Tag and Real ID friends are eligible to participate. I'm not entirely sure if that means it's cross-server, but with some of the new things they've added, I would imagine it will be very shortly. There is a new area, which is the Timeless Isle. A mysterious island lost for millennia to the currents of time has emerged from the mists off the eastern coast of Jade Forest. So if you're wondering where the Timeless Isle is, it's here, it's where I am, this is where we are. You've got a lot of cool things, which I'll probably chop in a bit of flying around footage now, especially considering I've never seen so many people in WoW. It's great. So this is located just down here in the southeast of Pandaria, just off the Jade Forest, which finally gives us a reason to use that bleeding portal that they put in right at the beginning, which goes from Orgrimmar out to the Jade Forest. So this is where we are. This is where you're first greeted to this vista of this lovely big gate when you first get here. And then across the rest of the isle, you'll see how it looks now while I talk about it. Players seeking to explore the Timeless Isle should visit their faction's shrine in the Vale of the Eternal Blossoms. I believe that is a Flash of Bronze quest that you're given as soon as you go to Pandaria. The Timeless Isle is inhabited by all manner of strange and powerful creatures that will test the mettle of solo explorers, but great rewards await the brave and skillful. Epic loot, bind to account gear, Mogo runes of fate, paints, mounts, fun toys, and much more. The isle is filled with secrets and mysteries, many of which dynamically become available to explorers. Keep an eye on your minimap while on the isle for information on nearby events. The Timeless Isle is home to 5 new world raid bosses. 5? Jesus! Players may face each of the 4 Celestials in a trial of combat. Heroes who have earned the legendary cloak from Rathlion may access the sanctum of the fiery Yomgul demigod Ordos atop the Timeless Isle. So, that's the new area. That's a lot of things that you've got. There's a guy with PvP on there. I should go and kick his ass. Yeah, that's the new area, the Timeless Isle. And lo and behold, I got here. I killed one shark because I came in the wrong freaking way. There doesn't seem to be flying here. If I try and fly mount, you can't use that here. You can use regular mounts. Boom! I'm on a wolf. So you can use regular mounts. That's all fine. And the first thing that dropped off the first thing that I killed, item level 496, Battle.net account bound, timeless cloth braces. So it is bound to me, but I believe it can be disenchanted. Create a soulbound item appropriate for your loot specialization, which for me is arms. So that's not useful for me, but if I have a clothy alt, then I can send it over to them. It's another way of Blizzard making things a little bit better, and for once, I don't think they're making it worse, which is always good. There is a new feature that has been added called Proving Grounds. Proving Grounds is a new feature where level 90 players can test their mettle and undertake trials designed for damage, tank, or healer roles to test and improve their combat skills in a safe, controlled environment. To access the Proving Ground, speak with an NPC in the Temple of the White Tiger in Kunlai Summit, or as a class trainer. So class trainer is located in the major cities. The other guy is up here, Temple of the White Tiger. And basically what this means is you can practice your healing, you can practice your tanking, or you can practice your damaging. They have a number of different rounds that you progress through, and until you can progress through those rounds, you know that you're not really good enough to be getting out there and tanking. Now this is a great feature. This is something that Warcraft has needed for a long time. They're actually putting the tools in the game to learn how to play the game better, so you don't have to do it all yourself anymore, which I think is a good thing. Usually I'm not too much of a fan of it, but with the way the community's been destroyed since vanilla and now cross-realm stuff is happening, there is no reason to have a group of friends together to all go and play WoW anymore. People do it with randomers and with strangers, which wasn't the way it used to be, because when you used to group with those friends, they would teach you the things that you needed to know and you could learn together. Now you don't have as much of that. You don't get a group of randomers that are willing to go through a boss like 4 times so you can learn how to tank properly. So having an area where you can go and do that in the game is great. Sup, Great Turtle, how's it going? New feature, Connected Realms. Connected Realm is a set of 2 or more standard realms that have been permanently and seamlessly linked. Quotes. Players on the same connected realm will be able to trade, send and receive mail, join the same guilds, access a single auction house, run the same raids and dungeons, and join other adventurers to complete quests. Now, this has its good points and its bad points. Good points are you can play with other people on the same realm. You can email and that kind of stuff, which is really useful. It's kind of been missing. One singular auction house, though, if you had like people who are lazy for grinding cloth on your server, and then you're mixed with someone who doesn't anymore, then that could really ruin an entire server's economy, basically. And it'll alter it and it'll change it and it'll make 2 the same. And what you'll see is a gradual homogenization across the world of Warcraft. Across different servers, they'll now become more and more the same. So good points and bad points on that one. The jury is still out. The legendary quest continues. Rathlion's final quests are now available for dedicated heroes who have fought on his behalf throughout the Pandaren campaign. He's waiting at the Tavern in the Mists in the Veiled Stir. I haven't done that yet. So, only players equipped with the legendary cloak can reach the Sanctum of Ordos, which is where the buff is. The privilege extends account-wide, so if you've got it on one of your alts, that's fine. But I haven't done any of that, so you won't see that. The Battlefield Barons has been updated. Vol'jin and his forces move beyond gathering supplies and into a full-scale assault on the Horde capital. As such, the Battlefield Barons weekly quest will no longer be available once the invasion on Orgrimmar begins in patch 5.4, i.e. now. Ravika, the Darkspear Rebellion Quartermaster, will no longer be available, so if you have These things, latent Corcoran supplies, will no longer drop or be available for purchase. Players who still have a Radical Mojo will continue to be able to combine it with existing armor tokens. So if you already have the Mojo, you can do it. Gazruki's Summoning Stone and Reptihide Boxing Gloves are now available as a rare drop from the Corcoran and other associated creatures in the Northrend Barrens. So if you didn't get the pet, if you didn't want to spend it because you were gearing up, there's still a way it can drop. That can be good. One interesting little aside to note here, guys, you can stick any high level enchant on any of your heirlooms and it will scale with your character. So basically you get a slightly reduced effect at lower level and it scales up to where your character is, but it won't scale past it. So if you put a level 60 on it, enchant that's really the beans, then it won't scale up to a level 80 enchantment as you go along. So just something interesting to bear in mind for those of you who are planning on leveling up another alt with heirlooms. Put your best enchant you can on it because the restrictions have been removed. Blah, blah, blah. So now on to the class changes. All Fear and Horrify effects can no longer cause targets under the effects of a movement speed buff to move faster than normal run speed. So basically, if you've got your speedy boots on and someone fears you, you don't run around double quick, you run around at normal speed, and if you're lucky enough to still have your buff left at the end of it, presumably it comes back to you. All taunt type abilities now increase all threat generated against the target while taunt is active by 200%. So basically taunt has been redesigned. If you spam a taunt now as a warrior, then as well as pulling all the threat onto you, you also generate increased threat while the taunt is active. So as long as your taunt lasts, you'll be increasing 200% threat as well as the initial pull of threat, which is good. That's going to make tanking easier. Vengeance has received several changes. This is a major passive, I believe, that all tanks have. Characters in a tanking specialization now generate 40% more threat. So as well as your taunt threat increase, you've got an additional bunch of threat to stop all the damage that's coming in from ripping people away from you. Vengeance now grants attack power equal to 1.5% of the damage taken, down from 1.8%. The tooltip said 2%, but it was actually 1.8%. Blizzard are lying to us, it's a conspiracy, man. So your attack power buff is decreased slightly. Tanks no longer receive vengeance from many persistent area damage of effects, like standing in the fire, or from missed attacks. Dodge and parry still works the same, so basically you can't stand in the fire when you're facing certain bosses and have a load of threat thrown onto you. You're still going to have to actually do stuff. So no more typing in the fire for tanks. Vengeance gains from being critically hit have been reduced by 50%. There are now diminishing returns on vengeance gains while tanking multiple targets. Each additional target grants progressively less vengeance. So with you getting 40% more threat from vengeance, that's going to decrease for every additional mob you have fighting you. So if you're tanking 6 things at once, it's going to be harder work. But that's good because again, it gets people into tanking simply on 1 or 2 mobs, and then it gets people to progress and learn to tanking big mobs of stuff. It's not just run in, throw the thing on the floor, stand in the fire, everything's good. The vengeance remains unchanged for the challenge modes. It works as it did last patch, which is fair enough. It makes it fair for everyone who's been doing it before. And the last and finally the most important change for people from a PvP perspective, area knockback effects now all share a diminishing return category. That's good. After a player has been moved by one of these spells, the player will be immune for 10 seconds. That's awesome. The new category applies to Fell Lash, Gorfian's Grasp, Glyph of Explosive Trap, Thunderstorm, Typhoon, Ursol's Vortex, and Whiplash. So if you're fighting a druid and you get Typhooned, and then they pop an Ursol's Vortex, you're immune to the effect of the Ursol's Vortex for 10 seconds. This is going to make getting out of them much easier. You'll get pulled back once, and then you can't be Typhooned straight afterwards. That's massive and going to be well useful. Okay, creatures. The bonus roll change. Players that don't have a coin or elect not to use a bonus roll when defeating one of the world bosses, the Shar of Anger, Galleon, Nelak, and Undasta, can come back later the same week to use the bonus roll. The limit has not changed and remains 1 attempt and 1 bonus roll per boss per week. So basically you can do the boss twice on different days if you think that's going to have a better spawn increase, something like that, I don't know. Harvey and Dent have returned to their post. The mechanical auctioneers will once again allow engineers to access the auction house from the Shrine of the Seven Stars and the Shrine of the Two Moons respectively. So if you're an engineer, you can do your auctioning back out in Pandaria once again. Brawlers Guild fixed an issue where Mingus Diggs was not resetting properly between fights. Pet battles. There's a load of stuff available, but as a brief overview, a new pet battle tournament is available in the Timeless Isle. More details coming soon. Blah 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 blah. Pet battles. Oh, I don't really care about that, so you'll have to find that somewhere else. Raid, dungeons, and scenarios changes. The chance for awarding loot from kills or bonus rolls has been increased for Mogashan Vaults, Heart of Fear, Terrace of the Endless Spring, and Throne of Thunder on Raid Finder difficulty. The chance of awarding loot from using a bonus roll has been increased for Throne of Thunder on normal difficulty. All enemies in Throne of Thunder now have a debuff called Shadowpan Onslaught, which reduces their health and damage by 20%, and they fixed an issue where credit for the achievement "You Said Crossing the Streams was bad" was not being awarded to players who are dead or in Spirit of Redemption form. So basically, they've made some of the earlier raids easier, and to encourage you to go back and do that kind of stuff, or to let you go and pass through it if you've not actually managed to do it yet. Dungeons. Player who obtain a realm best time in challenge mode dungeon, group must contain at least 3 people from the same realm to qualify, will receive a temporary title specific to each dungeon, e.g. Siegebreaker for a season in Nizao Temple, etc. This title will persist for as long as a player retains the top time on the realm. Holding a realm best time at any point will also confer a permanent feat of strength to record the accomplishment. The biggest change, however, is probably that heroic scenarios no longer have a minimum item level requirement to enter. So anyone can do heroic scenarios no matter what the item level, so you can help run your mates through to get them points. So, this is Sergeant Slack from Banana Bomb Productions saying thanks very much for joining me for this, my overview video for the patch 5.4 changes. If you want to know more about the PvP changes, then go and check out my Arms Warrior / PvP changes video. It's linked on screen here, and I will see you out in Pandaria. So, this is Sergeant Slack from Banana Bomb Productions saying thanks very much for joining me for this, my overview video for the major changes in patch 5.4. Please do comment, like, subscribe if you did. Leave a comment letting me know what you're most looking forward to this patch, and I will catch you soon. Ta-ra.